3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple, and oh my God, a Scott has arrived. Scott, how you doing, sir?
Oh, hey there, friend. It's so nice to be with you.
It is so
It's
good to
been too
hear your
long.
voice. It has been. Whoa, the last time you were on was what, Joker, I think?
Yeah, I think it was Joker.
Yeah, so that would have been, it's been a minute, man. But everyone, we're going to have Scott here back on the podcast more frequently. But I'm really excited that you're back for this review in particular, because we're talking about WandaVision, which is, oh my God, new Marvel content. Thank God.
I know
So-
it's only been like a few months.
Dude, it's been longer. Shut up.
I know.
Well, it's funny because, I remember I'm psyched. I'm still psyched for Black Widow whenever we get it. Come on, Feige. But this past year of COVID has been shitty enough, but seeing all these films I wanted to see delayed, whether it's Black Widow, or it's next Fast and Furious, whether it's Edgar Wright's, One Night in Soho, just all what's Mission Impossible, like all these movies that I was so hyped to see, just off the board. It's like, fuck. And so this fucked up Marvel's plans too. And so we were supposed to get Black Widow last May. Then I think it was supposed to be October or November. And now it's looking like it'll be May, hopefully, in a couple months. But WandaVision was supposed to be the second show. It was supposed to be Falcon the Winter Solider and then WandaVision. So they just, flipped release schedules. But we're at it now. It's over. It's done. It's concluded. And I will say, as we get in here, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I didn't really know what to expect going into it. I just knew it was Marvel, and, me being the whore I am for the MCU, I was like, cool, sure. But yeah, I enjoyed this.
Current plans as of now, to reiterate what you said, is that it's done, right?
Yes,
That's the current. That's like as of now.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so no second season of this. Presumably.
Limited series.
Yeah, so Kevin Feige did say today that not every show will be a one-off, will be a limited series. Some shows will have multiple seasons. I'd imagine something like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, for example, will probably have multiple seasons. But this is intended to be a limited series. Right?
Do you know how many? Like I want to poke your brain about where this is going, or where you might like. Do you have an idea already of how many total stories they're going to try to run together here? Like, is there is there a limited number of superheroes they're trying to fit in to create something? Because I mean, that's always the goal, isn't it? To, unite a bunch of them.
Yeah. So let's get into the plot of the show first, because again, there's a decent amount of shit to cover. Go figure. So, if you know, by the way, full spoilers for this. So if you have not watched WandaVision, I enjoyed it. Scott, what did you think of it?
I really loved it. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, cool. We enjoyed it. We recommend it. So, okay, are you still with us? Okay, you are? Okay, cool. All right, so following the events of Endgame with Wanda being brought back, Wanda Maximoff, of course, played by Elizabeth Olsen, who, goddamn, man, So I think we reviewed it together. It's like I never left. Shut up.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
But you're such a dick. But Wind River, with her and Jeremy Renner, I think we reviewed that together, and we both really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a great flick.
And then Ingrid Goes West, her and Aubrey Plaza, they work so well together. So she's proven that she can be an incredible actress. this might be her best acting performance. It's easily her best acting performance as Wanda, because this show is, her going through the stages of grief, basically in a Twilight Zone sitcom mishmash, which on paper sounds insane, and yet it works somehow. And so the plot of this is figuring out, it's really mystery, figuring out why this town, Westview, even exists, how it exists, how Vision is back, because if you remember Infinity War, Thanos went ahead and, TKO'd him and just ripped the Mind Stone out of his fucking head, which, I'll be real, man, as high as we were when we saw Infinity War together, that was fucking traumatic for me to see that shit. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, you can't really unsee that. Especially when you're that close to the screen.
Yeah, because we saw that shit in IMAX. I remember going, oh fuck. like that's dark. But how is Vision back? And then, who's looking for Wanda? Who's looking for Vision? And so Wanda herself, one of my few complaints about the MCU has always been, how powerful is she? Because in the comics, Wanda's an incredibly powerful witch, hence the name, the nickname she has. And Marvel just clearly hasn't really known what they want to do for power base, because sometimes it seems like she could go ahead and, destroy the world, and other times it's like, oh man, Black Widow, hit her with a spin kick. Oh shit! All right, it's been very inconsistent
right.
at points. I would say here in the show they flat out say she could have beaten Thanos by herself, which I was very happy they said that, because I've been saying that shit. So I was like, thank you for confirming. But the show really does finally establish at least a floor for her power base. But the biggest surprise for me was the sitcom shit. The sitcom stuff works so well. Mm-hmm. The first episode's actually filmed in front of a live studio audience, which I went, that's a really nice touch. Yeah. That was pre-COVID, obviously. And I love the way the sitcom aspect works and how they slowly evolved the mystery over the 9 episodes. Scott, your thoughts there?
Because the first two, the first one definitely, there was no breaking character. I don't believe in the entire first episode there's any clue that what you're watching isn't a early 50s 40s television sitcom program, basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a what the fuck moment in the beginning where you're like, okay, I know this is not going to be like this, but that whole episode was like that, and is this going to be like this every episode? And luckily it's one of those things is you can binge. I was able to binge. And at that point. But after that point, and they kind of let you in, that's kind of where it starts to get interesting. And because you think you worry for a moment that it's not going to be quite as interesting or exciting, but once they start to let you in, it's just like the long game of it is where it really pays off. And
yes,
I think that's like the beauty of it, because you knew that's what was going on, but in the back of your head you're like, okay, you're waiting for it to take, you're waiting for it gears to switch, and it never really does. And then even into the second episode where things start to crack a little bit, it's not what you would imagine it to be, and you're still wondering, like, okay, now is Vision alive? Like, what is this what went on? Or you're still kind of like sorting through, at least I was, different theories about what was going on. So that's kind of the beauty of the show, really, is that long game, essentially, that started off in the beginning so slow.
Yeah, you're right. So the only real, and it's not even really a crack, Vision just uses his powers on his boss, who they have over for dinner. He just uses his powers to go ahead, his phasing, to go ahead and get this piece of food out of his throat. And that's really it. But again, he's choking. He's not thinking about how he's how he's saved.
Because the world they find themselves in, everybody is aware of Vision's powers, apparently, or that. Well,
Not really, no.
I guess no,
he,
not in the beginning. Not in the
yeah,
beginning. Right. Okay.
yeah,
Because
but
he's constantly switching back and forth between his real face and the one that he shows everybody else. But throughout they do use their powers, but and
yeah,
not in the way where you expect. Like everything is still nice, everything is still put together, and the way that Wanda wants it, and then not till there's like these bits and pieces that start assembling.
there's this moment in episode 2 that's very it's subtle for half a second, but then it's kind of like, oh shit, where this helicopter falls in, and the helicopter's in color, and the way it's shot is so beautiful because it contrasts so well with the black and white. Like it's
Because at that point, the evolution of the TV shows, it's still black and white, so nothing
yes,
else is color except for that helicopter. And then I don't know if you noticed like the markings on that helicopter also.
yeah, the sword logo,
The sword, yeah.
yeah. But I love that, and I love that they have the whole classic sitcom of, oh, let's push the beds together. Like that was something I was like, I was like, that's cute. And but you're right, it really does buy into its premise, and I was kind of having that same thought of, is this going to be a sitcom for like most of this?
Right. Because they commit,
and
they really commit.
and that is the thing I have to give credit to as well, because yeah, we're talking about Elizabeth Olsen. Paul Bettany brought it in this. He did such a great job, and what a natural comedian too, because a lot of the gags are kind of on him, being like, oh, I'm a android trying to be a human. Like there's this point where he's around the water cooler and he doesn't drink the water because obviously he fries fucking circuitry, and I was like, okay, this is like just those little like situations, those sitcom situations that they add the twist to because he's a fucking android, I thought were really clever. I went, okay. And I don't know about you, man, but every theme song for these fucking episodes, I was like, I would get stuck in my head for the day. I'm like, fuck. Like
It's just like head to toe, really. They covered the theme super well, like from the music to the how it felt to like the set, what they were wearing, and it really like at a point they go through like the 90s sitcom, and they kind of made a callback to like Malcolm in the Middle, which I really appreciated, which was
yes,
hilarious.
That was my favorite one. So I will say, so what I like, episode 4 is where things really do pick up. It's like a flashback episode. So we get the debut of Monica Rambeau, who is the now adult version of Monica in Captain Marvel, who's played now by Tanoia Paris, who, first off, can we just say, my God, she's gorgeous. like I was like, whoo, okay.
She has like super cool hair too.
Yeah, she is like, she has some very black
hair. She has like a fro part. Like, she has a fro, but like she parts it, which is like impressive. I feel like that takes so long to do,
dude. I'll have to see you a picture of myself, man. I'm starting to look like Gambino, man. My hair is starting to just dread itself. Like I'm looking like the Unabomber, and I know.
Baby.
Yeah, I am, because at this point, fuck it. But first off, yes, she's absolutely gorgeous. Secondly, her and Randall Park were as Jimmy back as Jimmy Woo. They work so fucking well together, and I didn't know she was going to be in the show. Like I was like, oh shit, that is her. And her arc, I like just as much as Wanda's, because she gets blipped. So her mom dies. Who's best friends with Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. Her mom died during the blip. So
right. So will you straighten something out for me really quickly?
Yeah.
At the beginning, or not at the beginning, I'm sorry, the blip that you're talking about. So, someone I was talking to thought that they were in space. was that they were coming back from space when I thought it was like an anomaly where they were just gone for a really long time.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so no, you're right on that. But
Okay.
But having her in the show really added something to it that I really thought we needed. We added this human element because yes, while Wanda is going through her grief, the problem is, man, and I don't even know. And I'm reading this online, and I don't think it's as big of an issue as people say it is. But Wanda really is the villain in this. At the end of the day, yeah, Agatha Heartless, who's played by Catherine Hahn, who is my incredible. God. So I'm gonna be real. So I've had a thing for Catherine Hahn since Step Brothers. Like now, I don't know what that says about me. That Step Brothers is what I was like. Oh, Catherine Hahn.
You see yourself more as a Will Ferrell.
I see myself more as a John C. Reilly.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I haven't reviewed it yet. But she did this limited series for HBO called Mrs. Fletcher, and Mrs. Fletcher's fucking incredible, and she really should have gotten a Emmy nomination for it. Honestly, probably should have won. But I was so happy when I heard she was going to be in a Marvel show, and I remember when they cast her, I went, you don't get Catherine Hahn to just be playing nobody. So when she's just being the nosy neighbor Agnes, I kept telling my partner, I was like, babe, I'm calling bullshit. Like, I think she's this witch. And her reveal of who she is one of my favorite moments in something I've seen in a while. Like, that was such a, like, I think most people knew something was up with her, but the way it is presented and revealed to you, I went, fuck yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's my favorite character, if I'm being honest. I think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just think like her contribution and like commitment to the whole thing, and her like playing along the entire time, and then her reveal, and like it was for somebody who like has no foresight about the Marvel universe. I just kind of take it in as I go without trying to guess too much about it.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. But yeah, I just really liked her character. Like, she was just able to, and then once you kind of like started picking up that she was either not necessarily in on it or like, but something was different about her. And then that whole scene where Vision was trying to figure out what exactly was going on.
Yes.
He runs into her and clears her mind, and that whole thing essentially was a trick. Was awesome piece there. Like, just her role and everything was really well done. But I mean, everybody was like, Elizabeth Olsen plays Wanda so well, and I think, like, I agree with you. I think this is her best role, especially as Wanda, because you just don't really hear from her a lot in a lot of the Avengers movies. But I think she really like gave it some emotion, and like when they would flash Vision, just this gray corpse when the walls were kind of closing in on her, and it was just like, holy shit, like,
so
that was one of those oh shit moments.
Let's talk about that scene. So I'm going to be real, man. I was much higher than I thought I was when I was watching. So this became Alea and I, that it became our Friday night tradition. Like, we'd get dinner and we'd FaceTime and we'd watch WandaVision together. And dude, I was smoking a infused pre-roll. And I'm sitting here, and that scene came up, and dude, I dropped my joint. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, it sobered me up quick. I was like, "Oh my god!" And you see Wanda cry, like a couple of tears fall, and I went, "Oh no, shit is about to get really unpleasant." And really, from that scene, the show stopped playing around. And you start to see.
Was that the first? You kind of look in as to what's going on. I think that was the first moment.
Yes, for me it was, because I was sitting there like everyone was thinking, how the fuck is Vision back? It's like, oh, he's not back. But then once I saw that, I realized, oh, she's so powerful that she has gone ahead and recreated her own version, and oh, she's controlling the people in the town. Oh fuck, this is like, and that's when I started to kind of put more and more together. But
so
that
did you know she was the Scarlet Witch the whole time? Was that kind of foregone?
I figured that's where we were going to end.
Okay.
Was with her becoming Scarlet Witch.
Gotcha.
But I loved it. So here's the thing, and I did read some people kind of go, well, I didn't like that. Like, you know, we knew this was going to kind of end with this. Mm-hmm. First off, did we? I mean, because I saw some people who flat out were like, I'm shocked that this is where it ended. I will bring up one complaint that some people have that I'm going to be honest that I don't have. A lot of people felt that they got hornswoggled by Evan Peters' Quicksilver being back or being in the MCU. And a lot of people were kind of like, oh, that's bullshit. They bring over a character who plays the same character in the Fox movies and he's not going to be in the MCU. So a couple things. One, that actor could still end up coming back. I mean, they didn't kill Ralph Boner. I mean, he is still there. Number one. Number two, and as harsh as this is, the less attachment to the Fox X-Men films for me, the better. Like, I know some people want Evan Peters back as Quicksilver, and would I like it? Yeah, I really would, because I like his portrayal way more than I like Aaron Taylor Johnson's. But at the same time, we're probably getting a clean slate with the X-Men shit regardless. So, yeah, while I admit it's a bit trolly on Marvel's part to go ahead and do that, considering, you know, he played the same fucking character, it wasn't a deal breaker for me or like a huge thing against the show like it was for some people. Kind of your thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't aware that was Quicksilver. The guy that they created, Vision's clone, essentially.
No.
Is that what they're implying?
Oh no, the guy when she sees her brother again, Pietro. That's who. Uh-huh. Yeah. That's
Quicksilver.
That's Quicksilver. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just a pigment of her imagination. I thought she created him. He was just some random dude.
No, that's the guy that the neighbor at the door. That's why in the last episode he had that necklace around that was making her see him.
Because it was a. Oh, you're saying they haven't found him yet.
So he was in the X. He was that same actor played Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men films. Okay, I didn't recognize him. So some people are like, "Oh, like you got my hopes up," and
I see.
Yeah, and I'll be real, man. Like I get
it's
that
been a
argument.
While. Like
that's kind of where I'm at. Like I don't know. Like I think here's what I'll say. I think people's fan theories are awesome to have. I mean, fuck. Scott will tell you, I've told him dozens of fan theories about shit that, like, you know, when we watch a Marvel film or whatever. But the fan theories weren't enough to ruin my enjoyment of it. And some people were really pissed they didn't get, you know, Magneto at the end, or they didn't get Reed Richards as the person helping out Monica, or like there's a laundry list of stuff that people wanted that they didn't get, and I think that people are kind of unfairly holding it against the show.
Is this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask kind of a basic question. Is this an original, or is this a recreation of a comic?
It's more original than it's not. They are pulling from comic book material, but there's not a run in the comics that's like really similar to this. Okay. Yeah, there's no sitcom WandaVision shit.
Right. So. That sounds like some comic book shit.
It does. And so I don't know about you, I love the logic for why it was sitcoms. Like it was a simple explanation, but it made sense because you know, when you think about trauma, you know, when you're in a traumatic state, what do you go back to? Places, right? Exactly. See, Scott, smart and handsome, but I was like, that makes sense. Now, something that we haven't talked about, those fucking commercials I thought were brilliant. Every commercial I love.
Every once in a while they would get me. Because like I'm just so used to watching like Hulu or something and a commercial popping on that I'd be like,
yeah,
I'd have to do a double take and be like, oh yeah, okay.
Right.
And there'd be like a sword icon or something on a bottle of milk.
Well, so the one I loved was the first one for the Stark Industries toaster, and I remember
Right.
and I remember I told my partner, I went, "Oh my god!" That I was like, "I know what that is," and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "That represents the missile that she talked about in Age of Ultron." And my partner's like, "Wait, you're going with that?" I'm like, "Yep." And go figure, that's what it ended up representing. I was like, take that show, but it's fascinating how each of those episodes or those commercials represent something in her life.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what? That's really interesting. I didn't get quite that deep with it. I'm glad that you have the knowledge, that kind of knowledge, because I need to go back and I wanted to go back and rewatch it anyways, but I'll be looking out for those clues because I didn't quite pull out from the commercials.
And then like episode 2 is the one with the watch and the Strucker watch. That's the guy who had the staff who's doing the experiments on them. That was his last name. And then the Hydra logos in the middle of the watch. So,
yeah, I saw the Hydra logo. Right.
So I mean, it's pretty crazy the amount of like clues, like breadcrumbs they do leave. But as stuff starts to come together, it really is cool to see how it comes together.
And it's so seamless too because it fits the tone of what you're already watching, and like, yeah, just them to be able to do that, like to show you something while they're not really showing you something, is really cool. It's like so much. Seems like a ton of thought went into it. The entire thing is so well constructed.
Yeah, like so a couple Easter eggs I have to shout out. I love the way they got Wanda and Vision into their classic comic costumes. That made me so incredibly happy.
Yeah, for Halloween.
Yeah, now like so I don't know about you, man. Like they kind of play up the whole Elizabeth Olsen like mom bod in this, and I'm like I'm all about this. I'm not gonna lie, but like those kids kind of creep me out, but her mom vibe totally was digging that. Vision having the basically the NBA 70s shorts for his costume made me so goddamn happy, but then even the kids are wearing their classic costumes when they go trick-or-treating, which is a brilliant fucking touch. And yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs here. The big one for me is when we get to episode 9. I know we're jumping all over the place, but there's so much I want to generally touch on. Before we get to the finale, that Agatha All Along song has been stuck in my head for like the last week, and I've been humming it just without even thinking about it. And that was the number one song on iTunes, man.
Was it really?
A song that's less than a minute was the number one fucking. I think it was number one on Spotify too. I'm like,
Internet's a crazy place.
It really is. And the amount of memes that have come out about it being Agatha, like what she did. Now, first off, being a witch is one thing. When she kills that fucking dog, I'm like, you're a fucking bitch. What is your problem? Because I think it's episode.
That's what's so great about her, though, is that she's so terrible. She's such a terrible person.
True. I mean, so I think it's episode 6 where they end up getting a dog because the kids. So episode 5, they have Wanda is like pregnant, and they have episode 3, pardon me, is where she has her twins, and then they grow up really quickly, which is out of the comics too. So they end up becoming teenagers, and they end up getting a dog and Sparky. Sparky is the dog's name, a very sitcom name for a dog, and the dog ends up dying. Like Agatha finds the dog, and I remember that being another thing. I went, "Oh, this bitch is a witch." I was like, she happens to be the one to find the dog, and so when she sings that Agatha All Along song, and it ends with her going, "Oh, and I killed Sparky too," I was like, wow, like it wasn't enough for you to be torturing Wanda. You had to.
She's so sassy. It's great.
Yeah, and she's proud of it too, and the big implication with that being, one, the Scarlet Witch being a title that's been passed on, from hundreds of years. I love that because, again, that is out of the comic. Two, they flat out say she's more powerful, the Scarlet Witch, is than Doctor Strange. And to remind everyone, boys and girls.
So does that mean Doctor Strange is a wizard?
Yeah, well, sorcerer, yeah.
You're the wizard, Doctor Strange.
You're a wizard, Stephen. He didn't even know. But I love the concept that, so first off, it's just a couple things here. There's no way that what Wanda has done will not have consequences moving forward.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I was actually getting pissed off with people online going, man, Wanda, like, kind of just got away with everything. I'm like, no, those people who are being controlled, you think they're not going to go on, like, there's book deals for most of them. Really, because, oh my God, because they don't say how long everyone was under control.
Right.
Like, under her control, which I will say, I wish there was more of a concept of time throughout the show. Like, just to kind of, I think the ending would have hit a little harder.
It wasn't really till she was pregnant that you could tell how quickly things were going.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, I would have liked a little more clarification on that front. But that last scene in the series finale where you see all the townspeople kind of wake up and realize what's happening, it is a heartbreaking scene. It's a rough scene to watch. And really, I was impressed with just how quickly everyone basically turns into a villager, without a torch when Wanda breaks the spell. But I don't know about you, man, but episode 8 for me, I'm blanking on the director's name. I can't find his name on the cast list here, but
Matt
the guy
Shackman,
who played
Shakeman, something like that.
Oh yeah, it's a Sandberg. That's it. It's director no, that's the actor. Tyler
previously on IMDb, it says Matt Shackman, SHAK man.
Yeah, the director of Sword, which is basically the new Shield stand-in. So for those of you who don't know, Sword is basically Shield, but it's a not a global organization. It's a universal organization, space being included. So, if it happens anywhere, Sword is supposed to be on it. So that's essentially what Sword is now. But the director of Sword, he is such a fucking douchebag.
Right. So he's the director.
Yes.
Okay. The asshole.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what his standing was. I knew he was big dick on campus, but then everyone went off and started doing their own thing. I was like, oh, is he? But okay, sorry, continue.
No, you're good. Like, what made me so happy about him though is that he is such a piece of shit. Like, when Monica joins back, he's like, hey, your mom died. That really sucks. Oh, by the way, did I mention you work for me now? like, just to throw that in. And she's rightfully like, I'm not thrilled about this, but whatever, I guess. But the more shit goes on, you see him just being more shady and more sneaky and more uncomfortable. And it gets to a point where he drops this line about Monica basically being like, oh, it's a good thing you weren't around to see your mom die. You couldn't have handled it. I have popped off on people for far less. The fact she didn't shoot him right there really bothered me. Like, I get why you can't, but that line, I remember going, oh man, I kind of want you to die. And let's not forget, in the series finale, he tries to kill Wanda and Vision's kids. We'll just throw that out there. Like, like it's nothing, by the way. Like the town's been saved. He's like, oh, fuck that. Like, let me shoot these children too. But what did you think of him though, as a character?
Yeah, I mean he played an asshole very well. I think like he was definitely hateable and like the thorn in everyone's side. But like I said, I feel like a few of the chosen ones were able to kind of sneak off and kind of plan their own counterattack. Michelle, I think is her name. Is that right?
Oh, you mean Darcy or Monica?
Monica, that's right. Yeah. Monica. Like her kind of going rogue basically and doing her own thing. I really liked her character as well, but I think you could definitely predict his demise for sure. Like that was not going to last. That was not going to last at all. So yeah, he was a good protagonist. I just wasn't like super impressed with him, but I think that was part of his role, is just to be that player.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair criticism. Like he definitely was there to just be, type A slime ball, but right. But I think he fit that role well.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing I will admit to, I did not know I wanted a Randall Park, Darcy Lewis like X-Files type TV show, but I really want one of those because Kat Dennings. So let me be clear too. Kat Dennings. It's not fair how attractive Kat Dennings is, but I loved her in the first Thor. Like I think she's a lot of fun in that. And then after the first Thor, they just had no idea how to fucking use her like at all. She's so annoying in Thor: The Dark World through no fault of her own, but that whole movie just really for the most part fucking sucks. But so I was shocked that they were bringing her back, but I love the fact that she's not just a temp, she's actually a doctor. They make that very clear, which I went, oh my God, progression with that character that you haven't used. I really appreciate that. And she's pretty vital to how everything is going on here.
Well, and that kind of leads into like how they describe the environment that Wanda creates, essentially.
The hex,
the hex, and like how it's interesting to see like they showed both sides of the hex, and on the outside them describing it and like trying to figure it out, and Kat Dennings' character comes into place where she's essentially solves it. Basically is like the only person that can see through it, and then that can see this production, this TV show that's going on that is being projected out. And that's how they learn about what's going on inside. I love that connection there of how they were able to describe the phenomena.
Yeah, I absolutely love the way they explain that. And to your point, Darcy is incredibly vital in figuring out what the hell is actually happening. I love the fact that, and it's a very subtle thing, but at the end of episode 2, Wanda sees this guy coming out of a sewer, and she goes no, and she rewinds, like she legit rewinds the show. And when we see that happen, episode 3, where Darcy's watching the show, the feed cuts out. Like when she go at the rewind part, I went, oh, that's fucking. I was like, okay, like they're actually playing by the rules as it were that have been set.
Continuity.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed. But while I enjoyed the finale, and I really did enjoy the finale, I think my favorite 2 episodes, like my favorite episodes, probably previously on. That's the one where Agatha walks her through like all her traumatic memories, and I just thought the amount of range that Elizabeth Olsen has to show there, is so impressive. And and I don't know about you, I laughed on the rewatch because I wasn't fucking emotionally torn the first time, but when the director just walks through the Vision's body and he's just like ripped apart like an old car, I was like, holy crap. And you just see her break, and you can just see him going, oh well, I hope you don't do anything silly. Like I'm gonna push you as far as, like, I'm not gonna load the gun, but I'm gonna do everything but load the gun for you. Like it is heartbreaking
Mm-hmm.
when you see that scene. But then she doesn't freak out, because the other key piece is that the director tells everyone, hey, Monica stole Vision's body, which he didn't, because he's a no good liar. Don't lie, kids. And so you see Wanda just have this fucking break. Her brain, she just snaps, man. Like, that's really what happens. She goes to this plot of land that Vision bought for her, which I thought was fucking precious, by the way. And she just falls to her knees and just unleashes this amount of power that takes over the town she's in and creates her own version of Vision. And while she's not, the show walks a very interesting line of, she's aware of the hex, but I don't think she's aware of nearly the amount of damage she's causing until the last episode. Like, as far as how she's affecting people's minds. I think I thought that again, and that's a very fine line to walk. I thought that in particular was so well done, because when the townspeople start, interacting with her, it really hits her like, oh fuck, like, I've been controlling all these people. And
I think not only that, but that she's hurting them. Like, that's the big thing, is that, like, that she is kind of obliviously, like, happily oblivious, kind of until Vision goes and starts looking around, goes farther away from her, and people are literally just, like, frozen in time. And, like, her discovering that she's hurting people, like, granted, is a small deterrent, because she's like, whatever, out of sight, out of mind. But yeah.
But you start to see the cracks happen more, though. Episode 7 is such a... So, first off, I love the Modern Family like style, but I love the happy endings intro. I was like, because I'm a huge fan of happy endings, and the show's great too. But I know it's right there. But I love the shout out to that show, because that Happy Endings is an incredibly underrated show. But the breaking the fourth wall episode is really where it's the lowest point of her depression at that point, where she knows that this cannot last. Like, you have to know, like, at some point it's very apparent. And yet she's like, I'm just gonna stay in bed, like, because once I get out of bed, I'm acknowledging that this is falling apart. And that's when her magic starts to fucking freak out. Like, the kids are playing like a PS4, and then it turns into a Nintendo 64, then it turns into Atari, which I was like, I'm old, I remember Atari, so back in my day. But I love those cracks that start to show up more and more and more as the show goes on.
Yeah, I think, like, a part of the cracks that like, part of the reveal, as they're kind of like, they're opening up this reality. I really like how they, like, used Vision in this, and how he kind of had his own discovery of what was going on.
Yes.
And that he wasn't just, like, a sentient being that had no, that was just being, playing along to everything. That he was coming to terms with what was going on. That he was, because he's a superhero. Like, he's built for that. He's built to solve problems and, like, do good. And when he realizes that there's bad shit going on, and he knows that people are suffering, then he's like, he investigates it, and like he normally would do, but he happens to be the manifestation of himself that Wanda has created. And he, like, just, he's like, there's this self-awareness throughout the entire thing, that until he finally reaches it, and then he's the one that really helps her. So it's like, it's pretty crazy that the manifestation of Vision that Wanda creates helps her to, like, say goodbye, essentially.
Right?
It took that much for her to finally break apart and be like, okay, I can let this go now. I mean, it helped that she was like this super powerful witch now.
I mean,
like
that,
even
I mean,
more
that too.
powerful. But like I just liked how they didn't just brush them aside. You know, I felt like that their relationship was still real, was still very real the whole time. And like
Yes.
in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, he's not real. Like the kids aren't real. Like, you know that it's all just her manipulation, and that they're like actually not real, but there's still like an emotion between them and a connection that is present the entire time. So I thought that was very well done that way.
The show makes you buy in because again, you're right. Like, you know, it's not Vision. It can't be Vision. Episode 3 tells you it can't be Vision, and yet you're sitting there like, I hope these kids make it.
Yeah. Wanda acts that way too, like, you know, very protective of them, and like the whole time she's, you know, when what's her face, Catherine Hahn's character, Agatha. When Agatha like had her kids, like was torturing them essentially, you know,
dude, so dark,
which is super dark. Wanda was like, knock it off. I'm essentially started a fight with her, but in the back of my head, I'm like, it's like, but they don't exist. So, I mean, it's just crazy how she just is so connected to these things because they're like a part of her. And then obviously, like at the one of her last conversations with Vision, talking about how grief is, you know, love enduring.
That line, I paused it. I was like, holy shit. Like, yeah. It's one of those moments I didn't know I would get that, but I'm so happy I did.
Right.
And it helps fill in, it makes Civil War hit harder too. Mm-hmm. Like, considering they're on opposite sides, I went, oh my God, this, like, it's a really well done show. Like, and I really think the finale, I think that's getting lost in this. I really do. Like, I don't think people are giving, some people, I don't say the royal we, but a lot of people aren't giving the show its props when they should be.
And I think finales are also like, you know, you're never gonna make a good finale kind of thing. Like, I feel like people's expectations for finales are always never met.
Yeah, well, no, what are you talking about? Game of Thrones?
People love that.
Yeah, people love that finale. But I know for myself, with Wanda ending up as a Scarlet Witch, the costume looks great too. Like, I love the way the costume looks.
Especially like the crown.
Yeah, I love that. Love the way it looks. My favorite thing about the finale, outside of Wanda becoming Scarlet Witch, was the Vision on Vision fight that we got.
Yeah, that was like a little. I knew it was gonna come out to like a logic off, you know.
So I'll be real, man. I didn't, but I love that's how it broke down. I went, God damn it, show. This is so. Because I am sitting there watching it and like, okay, they're both so, like, how are you going to write yourselves? Oh my God, you did. And White Vision, Vision is actually originally white in the comics. So,
oh, really?
So I love the fact that we're getting, quote, White Vision, but, you know, they could. Like,
so do you think that that's how they're going to keep him alive?
Yes.
Through this guy? That's how they're going to continue him?
I think that's exactly how they're going to do it.
Because right when he transferred all his memories over to him, it was like, oh shit, that's the new Vision now.
But now you have a blank slate because that Vision still doesn't have the human experience. He is more android then. So because you know the Mind Stone doesn't allow for him to learn. So it's going to be.
Let me show you how to do it.
Yeah, right. Let's see that white dick now.
Just like it's the first time.
Oh my God. So apparently Vision almost had a dick. Paul Bettany was talking about that in an interview, and I was like, for the one thing for them to cut, what a shame.
Yeah, there's no way they could have put a dong on him.
Yeah, it's not Dr. Manhattan, kids. Right? Come on.
It's up in there somewhere, though. I mean,
right.
it's just like an extendo.
Yeah, it's like the things. It's like the thing stick. Like like one of those rocks. One of those rocks is the boulder.
I'm watching through Pokemon right now, and that reminded me of Geodude.
You're welcome.
So take that.
But as we wrap up here, my only real complaints, like I said, I think the Quicksilver thing, you could make the argument that you kind of got that you might have gotten played a little bit, but I mean, really, outside of that, it sets her up as Scarlet Witch. She's already using the astral plane, like Doctor Strange has done, to read
without even knowing it.
Exactly. Thank you, Scott. That's literally the point I had to make to someone. Like, you get she's doing this and she doesn't even realize she's doing it. You realize he had to go, he had almost freeze to death, become a strange sickle before he knew how to do that trick. And the guy's like, I think about it like that.
Agnes made a great point when she was like, you're out here playing house and like bringing your family back to life when you're like the most powerful being in the universe. Essentially.
Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. So the thing about, okay, potential spoilers, I guess, from future Marvel shit, but again, I'm just pulling from comics here. So Agatha actually does end up training Wanda in the comics. So the fact they didn't kill her, I think, is very intentional. The other thing I will say is I personally think
yeah, so let's talk about where you think this is going to after you finish this thought.
Yeah. I think, actually, we'll give our grades and then we can talk about that, because just in case. So, but yeah, let's just wrap up then. So for me, outside of the Quicksilver thing, that's really my biggest potential gripe about this. I mean, yes, some of the stuff as far as time tables being established, I really wish we would have had more of a concept of time, but we get Monica potentially as the next Captain Marvel. We might have two Captain Marvels because she does become Starfire, if memory serves. She becomes her in the comics. So I mean, we have another new superhero in the world. We potentially have multiple dimensions. I mean, there's so much this show potentially sets up moving forward. We get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness next year, this time next year, and Scarlet Witch is going to be in that. That's already confirmed.
It's like, this is why Marvel is such, like, head and shoulders above everybody else, is because they have a plan.
Yeah,
like they really have you can see it all, like everything they put out is purposeful, like down to the fucking commercials, like I feel like that's what really makes them so successful. It's like they commit, and like obviously it's working. It's a good formula, and they found a good formula, but like connecting everything and keeping it, there's, like you said, there's so many possibilities. Like they could introduce so many different people to this and make it what they want. They have unlimited opportunities.
Yeah, it really is kind of absurd how they've been able to pull this off. I haven't pushed for Marvel actors to get, award nominations very often, like Charlie Cox for Daredevil. Who else? Kristen Ritter for Jessica Jones. Like, there's been a couple times I've been like, this person should have gotten nominated for something. Elizabeth Olsen deserves Emmy nomination next year. Like, she really does for this. This works in a way that I was so incredibly pleasantly surprised by. And we talked about it. It commits to the gimmick of the sitcom, and it really it goes for 85% of the show, really, which is crazy that they were that confident in it and stuck with it, and that they stuck the landing, in my opinion, as well as they did. Again, not a perfect show. There are some things that I wish were a little tightened up, but at the same time, as I told I've told multiple people already, you're not supposed to have all the fucking answers at the end of the show because it's not like the
Right.
MCU's ending to not. It
Right.
doesn't end with this show. So people going, well, how powerful is she? It's like they told you it's powerful as Doctor Strange. Like let's
you don't want to bust your load this early in the game.
Yeah, it's like, like pre-cum exists for a reason. but,
Well put.
Thank you. Give me a shirt, but at the end of the day, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I'm gonna give it a rewatch, probably in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, me
but
too.
Enjoyed the hell out of this. So this is a solid A for me.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. A is the perfect grade for this. Like, it's so pleasantly surprising, but you knew it was gonna be quality, and
yeah,
they stuck with it, and they clearly had this whole thing mapped out. I mean, like, they had the perfect era, mimicked, generational TV shows for each time, like Malcolm in the Middle, Modern Family, all the other older ones like Dick Van Dyke or whatever.
Yeah, Bewitched.
Bewitched, thank you. Just like the completedness of it all really was a testament to the show. And yeah, Elizabeth Olsen killed it. I think just the entire cast was really great, and it was suspenseful enough to where it didn't have to do very much for you to be like, oh shit, what's going on here? And
yeah,
because it played it into that, it lulled you to sleep kind of, and then you're waiting, and then you kind of pick up on a helicopter that's a different color, or that they have to use their powers for to save that guy, and it's just plays out so nicely. I'm excited to whatever this spawns or continues into, but yeah, I think A is a great grade for this.
Perfect. Yeah, sweet, right on. Okay, so couple things I am going to lay out as far as where I think this is going to go. I think Elizabeth Olsen is going to break the MCU. I think she's going to legit create alternate realities because of how powerful she is. Hence the multiverse of madness. I think she's going to pull. So her
obviously someone's going to want to use her for evil.
Exactly. The Darkhold, considering how powerful that book is and all the spells it has.
Mm-hmm. That'll come into play because they made a point to introduce that.
I think she's going to release something from the Darkhold, and I think that's going to be Mephisto, because her kids are technically made in the comics from Mephisto. So I could see, because if you notice at the end of that second mid-credit scene, you notice that she can still hear their voices. So she's able to hear them because I think they're in another dimension. So that's where I think she's going to try to get them back. And then that's going to cause the break. And Doctor Strange is going to be like, bitch, what did you do? Again.
So you think it's going to be another Doctor Strange related movie or show? Or how, I think that's what you think that's going to come together?
I think that's going to come together in his movie next year. I think everything I pretty much said is going to happen in that next movie.
Gotcha. And because that's already scheduled to come out. Or are they done filming?
They're filming as we speak, actually. Okay. So I think that's going to happen there. I think Monica is going to become kind of not, I don't want to say the Maria Hill, but she'll be on that level playing field with Maria Hill.
Right, because she's got her own powers now.
She has her own powers, but I think she's going to be working for S.W.O.R.D.
Who is she supposed to, is she supposed to be somebody?
Yeah, so her character's name is, I want to say it's Starfire in the comics, but she also has been Captain Marvel in the comics too.
Oh, that's who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, so I think she's going to end up going up into space, which is a great tie-in because she always wanted to go into space like her mom. And so I think she's going to end up meeting Nick Fury, and then she'll probably be like one of the head people or an ambassador for S.W.O.R.D. in some capability.
Yeah, she's a real goody two-shoes, isn't she?
Right. Well,
real,
she can be
Captain America.
Right, I know, lame-o.
Gay.
Oh my god. But I love, but So I think she's going to be such a great ambassador for the brand going forward. Like, I'm really curious what they're going to do with her character. I have kind of an out there theory that I'm going to share. I think Captain Marvel kills her mom. Because you remember how they said her mom had cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Captain Marvel's power is because she's using like essentially like a similar type like
So you
thing
think
to gamma radiation. Yeah, I think they are, because I think hanging out. I think what's gonna happen, we're gonna find out that her mom and Captain Marvel were like, going on, adventures or whatever together. Like, she was helping her out.
Mm-hmm.
I think all that exposure essentially to what is kind of similar to radiation is what gave her cancer. I'm gonna call that right now.
Hey, like, I mean, you're on it. You're on the pulse. So I believe you.
Like, I think that, like, again, that would be dark as shit if that's what the route they go. But I don't know, man. I think you have to justify that fight, because that's clearly going to happen. And I think that's going to be, I think that might be the reason. So you heard it here, kids.
You think that, like, Scarlet Witch is as powerful as, like, Captain Marvel?
I mean, yeah. I mean, just off the heck shit, I would say so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess she fucking tricked the other witch, Agatha.
Yeah, and I love the way that was done too.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
That was a very clever.
As it was starting to happen, it was like, oh shit, okay, that was nice, very smooth.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I'm like, God damn, girl, you were paying attention. Okay, but yeah, so my theory is Shawel Ejiofor, his character from Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna discover the hex and free Agatha, because if you remember at the end of Doctor Strange, he was one of those people like, oh, you have power, you don't deserve it, fuck off. I think he's gonna discover her kind of in that kindred spirit way of, oh, we don't think there should be a Scarlet Witch in the world, so I think they're gonna team up. So
you heard it here first, folks.
Yep, there you go. So I'll lay out those things and I'll keep it there. But we get so we're gonna have to start reviewing this next week, because Falcon Winter Soldier premieres next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so hyped for that. I'm so hyped for more. Like,
what is that gonna come out to, like, theaters and then, like,
Disney Plus
premium? Are they gonna do another premium bullshit with it?
No. This is another Marvel show. Falcon Winter Soldier.
It's a show. I thought it was a movie.
No. So it'll be episodic, just like this was.
Oh, yeah.
But it starts next Friday.
Are they binging it, or are they doing weekly?
Weekly, sadly.
It's all right. I usually just, like, I'll watch the first 2 weeks and then, like, forget about it like 1 week, and then I'll be like, okay, I've got a few to watch, and that way then I can just binge it, which makes it better. So
yeah, I mean, so it's so funny. I got sent screeners for this for the first 3, right? For WandaVision, like, I think a week and a half ahead of the premiere. Mm-hmm. It was the hardest email for me to delete. I was like, I'm watching with a layup. Fuck.
Ooh, wow, that's really good of you.
Like, dude,
because I know that struggle.
Dude, it was hard. Like, because, like, I was getting reminders like, you could, like, it's your access is good for another 3 days. Like, shut up. But so
I'd be lying if I said I never did that.
Like, right?
Just, like, played it off like I hadn't seen it before.
So I'm gonna be real, man. I hope I don't get screeners for Falcon Winter Soldier. It's been like, oh man, Falcon, I've never seen him fly before.
We're all human. We're all human.
Right, we are. But oh man, but I digress. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Scott, tell the people where they can find you on Twitter.
I am at Newman the First.
And you can find yours truly on Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. That's REEL Pineapple. And listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. SoundCloud, Apple, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Spotify, Amazon Music, and Tune Up, to name a couple. And you can go ahead and find us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple, and like our gaming page, Real Pineapple Games, at on Facebook as well. I'm going to actually start on Twitch here later this month. I'm excited. I'm deciding what I'm going to play yet.
I feel like you really fit into that medium.
Yeah, I haven't done a Twitch stream yet, but I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna try it out. We'll see. Smoke a little weed, talk to the people. we'll see how it goes.
Play a little 2K or something.
Yeah, play a little. I might play Doom. Actually, I just bought Doom on Steam, so I might go with that. But we'll have reviews up here soon for Judas and the Black Messiah, because I'm stoked to sit down and talk about that. I will finally have our best of 2020 that will be live on the 16th, and the week of the 22nd we will have a review for Zack Snyder's Justice League. God help me. 4 hours. 4 hours.
You're gonna love it.
I don't think I will. And I have a lot to say about the movement about that whole film, but I will save that for the review. But oh man, there's gonna be some people who are not fans of me, but that's fine. Who cares? But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Take care of each other. Wear a mask. We're almost out of vaccine, thank God. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.